The day I found out I was not allowed to stand with my own son at his altar, I was holding the wire transfer confirmation for $58,000 I had just sent to pay for the whole wedding. I set it down on the kitchen counter and stood there for a long moment, not quite sure what to do with my hands. My name is Leonard Whitfield. I am 64 years old, a retired mechanical engineer, and a widower. My wife Sylvia died 3 years ago after a long illness. Gareth is our only son. This wedding was supposed to be the first big family celebration since we lost her, and I had wanted to do it right for both of us. I called Gareth to make sure the payment had cleared. Hey, just letting you know the Riverside Gardens transfer went through. You're all set for Saturday. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dad. His voice was flat, distracted. I could hear music, glasses, laughter in the background. So what time Friday for the rehearsal dinner? I can come early if you need help setting up. There was a pause. Then a different voice came on. Leonard. It was Nadine, my future daughter-in-law. The rehearsal dinner is really just for the wedding party. Close family on our side. We're keeping it intimate. I switched the phone to my other ear. Gareth is my son. I'm his father. Right, of course, but it's really structured around the ceremony participants, the people standing at the altar. I'm walking Gareth down the aisle, I said. Another pause. Then, smooth as ever, she said, Actually, we decided Gareth's uncle, my father-in-law's brother, will stand with him. It just feels more balanced for the photos, more symmetrical. I stared at the window above the sink, the one Sylvia had insisted on when we remodeled the kitchen 22 years ago. Gareth, I said, is that true? He came back on the line. Dad, it's just Nadine's family has traditions, it's not personal. I told him I understood. I told him I would see them Saturday at 2. Then I hung up and sat there looking at the transfer confirmation beside my checkbook. $58,000. Venue, catering, photographer, flowers, band. Everything they had circled and requested and revised over 14 months of planning. That night I sat in Sylvia's reading chair and looked at our wedding photo on the mantel. City Hall, 1,986. 2 witnesses, $40 between us. No venue, no flowers, just a promise. Somewhere along the way I had made a different promise to Gareth, an unspoken one, that I would always say yes, that I would always be the safety net. The next morning I laid out my bank statements and forced myself to actually look. In the 3 years since Gareth met Nadine, I had given them $97,000. $15,000 for the condo down payment, $8,000 when their credit cards maxed out, $12,000 for one of Nadine's business ideas that lasted 8 months and went nowhere, then the wedding, plus the smaller transfers scattered in between. $400 here, $600 there, $1,100 for a plumbing emergency, $800 for a car registration. I opened the joint account I had added Gareth 2 years earlier, back when Sylvia got sick and I thought it might help if he had access in an emergency. The balance was $3,247. It should have been around $7,000. I clicked into the history. 6 withdrawals over 5 months. 500, 300, 1,200, 400, 750, 2,100. No explanations. No phone call. Just gone. I called the bank. This is Leonard Whitfield. I need to remove 2 people from my joint checking account. I spent the rest of the morning closing every access point they had, every automatic transfer, every convenience I had built for them over the years. When I was done, my hands were steadier than they had been in months. That afternoon, Gareth called. Dad, what did you do? The bank called Nadine. I removed you both from my accounts. Why would you do that without talking to us first? Because I'm not a bank, Gareth. I'm your father. His tone changed then, sharper, harder. You're being petty because of the rehearsal dinner thing. Petty, I said. I paid $58,000 for your wedding. I'm not allowed to stand at the altar with my own son. And I'm being petty. Silence. Then I said it out loud for the first time. I've given you $97,000 in 3 years, Gareth. $97,000. And the moment I stop, you call me petty. He went quiet for another second, then said, in a voice that felt like someone else had put words in his mouth, You're going to regret this. We'll handle it our way. Then he hung up. I sat there waiting for fear to arrive. It didn't. What came instead was relief. Plain and simple relief, like setting down something heavy you had been carrying so long you forgot it wasn't supposed to be yours. 3 quiet days passed. I worked in the garden, fixed a loose board on the deck, reorganized the garage. While I was in there, I found a box of Sylvia's things I had put aside and never opened. Inside was a dark green journal. Most of it was ordinary notes about work, little things she was grateful for, frustrations from the hospital. Then I found an entry from about 4 years earlier, right after Gareth first brought Nadine home. She asked Leonard about his retirement accounts at dinner tonight. First time meeting her. Not in a curious way. In a calculating way. He didn't notice. I noticed. A few pages later, another line. Gareth looks happy. I am not going to say anything. Maybe I am wrong about her. I hope I am wrong about her. I sat at the kitchen table with that journal open in front of me and felt something cold and clear settle into place. Sylvia had seen it from the beginning. The next morning, the doorbell rang. A man in an expensive suit stood on my porch with a leather briefcase and a manila envelope. He handed it to me, said my name, and walked away. Complaint for breach of contract. Plaintiffs, Gareth Whitfield and Nadine Holloway. Defendant, Leonard Whitfield. They were suing me for $25,000. Honeymoon expenses, emotional distress, breach of trust. The claim was that I had repeatedly promised to fund their honeymoon, that they had relied on those promises, and that I had maliciously withdrawn my support. My own son had served me with a lawsuit. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Whitfield? My name is Gloria Harmon. I'm an attorney. A colleague mentioned your situation. Have you been served yet? About 20 minutes ago. Are you alone? I looked around the kitchen. Yes. Can you meet me this afternoon? Gloria Harmon's office was downtown, on the 4th floor of a building that smelled like old carpet and coffee. She was around 50, wearing frameless glasses, calm in the way people get when they've seen genuinely bad situations and no longer spook easily. She read the complaint, made a few notes, then looked at me and said, "This is textbook financial elder abuse dressed up as a contract dispute." "I'm 64, I said. "You're over 60. You're a widower. Adult children are making financial demands under threat of legal action. That qualifies under Oregon statute. Tell me everything." So I did. The condo down payment, the credit cards, Nadine's business, the wedding, the joint account, the phone call about the rehearsal dinner, being replaced at the altar, Gareth telling me I would regret it. When I finished, Gloria asked one question. "Do you have documentation? Bank statements going back 3 years. Canceled checks. Emails. Text messages. Transfer confirmations. I keep records." For the first time, she smiled. "Good," she said, "because we are not just going to defend this lawsuit. We are going to make them wish they had never filed it." She explained their case in plain language. A verbal promise to give a gift was not a contract. Their attorney knew that. They were counting on shame, guilt, and family pressure to make me settle. "I'm not settling," I said. "I can see that." Then she said something else. "If we can show a pattern of promises made in exchange for financial support, we may be able to argue some or all of that $97,000 was not a gift at all, but recoverable." The following week we built the case. Every statement, every transfer, every message. Gloria organized it into a binder with color-coded tabs and a summary sheet at the front. She called it the foundation. The numbers were almost worse when they were neat. 15,000 for the condo, 8,000 for the credit cards, 12,000 for Nadine's failed retail business, 58,000 for the wedding, then the rest. I also called my old friend, Stuart Nolan. He had been at my kitchen table the previous summer when I told Gareth clearly that I would help when I could, but I could not commit to specific amounts going forward. Stuart remembered every word. He agreed to testify. 2 weeks before the hearing, Gareth came to my front door. He looked tired, thinner than I remembered. "We need to talk," he said. I didn't invite him in. He looked past me into the house and said, "Nadine and I decided it would be better if you didn't come to the wedding." I let that sit between us. "You're uninviting me," I said, "from the wedding I paid for. It's going to be awkward, with everything happening." "Gareth," I said quietly, "I gave you $97,000. I never made a scene. I never asked for anything back. And you are standing here telling me I cannot come to your wedding. For a second, something moved behind his eyes. Recognition, maybe, shame, but it vanished. It's just how it has to be, he said. Then he turned and walked back to his car. I watched him drive away. Then I called Gloria. They uninvited me from the wedding. There was a pause. I'm sorry, Leonard. Don't be, I said. Now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lights, worn blue carpet, 2 counsel tables too close together. Gareth and Nadine sat with their attorney on the left. Gloria and I sat on the right. Stuart was behind us in the gallery. Their attorney argued promissory estoppel. He said I had made repeated specific promises to fund the honeymoon, that they relied on those promises in good faith, and that I withdrew support without warning. He used my own words against me. Texts like, "Don't worry, I've got you." Emails that said I'll take care of it. A voicemail where I told Gareth, "You know I'm always here." Taken out of context, it looked convincing. Then Nadine took the stand. Pale blue dress, hair pinned back, composed. She talked about trust, about planning their future around my assurances, about being blindsided. Then it was our turn. Gloria stood and walked Judge Crane through every number in the binder. The condo, the cards, the business, the wedding, the total. This is not a man who failed to support his family, she said. This is a man who was systematically drawn on until he said enough. Then Stuart testified. Calm, exact, unshaken. He described the conversation in my kitchen the previous summer where I said I could not commit to specific amounts anymore. Their attorney pushed him hard. Stuart did not move an inch. Then, I took the stand. I told the judge about the $58,000 transfer. About being told I would not attend the rehearsal dinner. About being replaced at the altar because Nadine wanted better photos. About the 6 unexplained withdrawals from my joint account. About Gareth saying, "We'll handle it our way." About being uninvited from the wedding I paid for. Then I said the only thing left to say. Your Honor, I would have given my son anything within my means. In truth, I nearly did. But the moment I stopped, he filed a lawsuit against me. I do not believe that is a son seeking his father's support. I believe that is something else entirely. When I finished, the courtroom went quiet. Judge Crane took off her glasses and looked at their attorney. Let me make sure I have this correct. Your clients received $58,000 for a wedding, $15,000 for a condominium down payment, and a series of additional transfers totaling nearly $100,000 over 3 years. And they are now before this court seeking an additional $25,000 because Mr. Whitfield declined to fund their honeymoon. Their attorney started to answer. She cut him off. Alleged verbal commitments do not create an enforceable contract under these circumstances, particularly when the record shows the defendant already provided support far exceeding any reasonable expectation. Then she looked directly at Gareth and Nadine. This pattern comes before this court with some regularity. Adult children who have come to regard parental generosity as entitlement, and who respond to its withdrawal with litigation. She denied their claim in full, ordered them to pay my legal fees, then referred the matter to Adult Protective Services for review as potential financial elder abuse. The gavel came down, and that was that. Outside the courtroom, Gloria shook my hand. You did it, Leonard. We did it, I said. Through the glass doors, I could see Gareth and Nadine by the elevator, not speaking to each other. Their attorney was packing his briefcase with the movements of a man who wanted to be somewhere else. I walked out into the Portland afternoon instead, bought a coffee from a cart across the street, and sat on a bench in the park. I did not feel triumphant. I felt peaceful. In the months that followed, my life changed in small, real ways. I sold the house, not because I stopped loving it, but because I realized Sylvia was not in the square footage. She was in the journal, in the choices I made after she was gone. I moved into a smaller condo downtown with a view of the Willamette. Stuart and I took a woodworking class at the community center. I volunteered at the library, reading to children on Tuesday afternoons. I drove to Seattle one weekend for no reason at all except that I could. I flew to Denver to see a college roommate I had not laughed with in 15 years. I lived. Then, 3 months after the hearing, my phone rang at 2 in the morning. Gareth. I almost let it ring out. But I answered. He was crying. She's gone, Dad, he said. She left 2 weeks ago, right after the judgment. She just packed and left. I sat up in the dark and listened. I've been trying to figure out how to call you, he said. I didn't know how. I didn't know what she was doing. Or maybe I knew and didn't let myself look at it. I kept telling myself it was fine, that you had enough, that it wasn't a big deal. Then, very quietly, he said, I'm sorry, Dad. I don't know if that means anything at this point, but I'm sorry. I was quiet for a moment. It means something, I said. We talked until almost 4 in the morning. About Sylvia, about his childhood, about the oak tree in the backyard, about the life he actually wanted, now that he had to figure it out for himself. Before we hung up, I said, come by Saturday. Stuart and I are building a bookshelf. You can help. He came. He was terrible at it. Stuart and I laughed at him. Eventually, he laughed too. That evening, I stood on my balcony with a cup of coffee and watched the sun go down over the river. The sky turned orange, then pink, then that deep blue Sylvia would have wanted to paint. My name is Leonard Whitfield. I am 64 years old. I spent a long time being a safety net for people who had stopped thinking of me as a person. I am done with that. And if any part of this sounds familiar to you, if you know what it is to be needed without being valued, then hear me clearly. You are allowed to stop. Setting a limit is not cruelty. It is not bitterness. It is not giving up on the people you love. Sometimes, it is the only way to find out who actually loves you back.